Негативни бројки за германската економија објави нивната државна статистика минатата недела. Бруто домашниот производ се намали повеќе од очекуваното. Падна инвестициите, додека личната потрошувачка исто така бележи пад повеќе од она што се планираше. Што се случува со најголемата европска економија, разговараме со универзитетскиот професор и член на економскиот совет на десничарската партија Sitel, господинот Цајтел. Професоре, може ли да не кажете дали надежите за излезот од Германија после 2-годишна рецесија сега се урнати?
Yes, you are right. We have now 2 years of recession in Germany. The economic development went down. There are several reasons for that. I don't want to point out the worldwide economic situation because other countries in Europe had the same problem as we had and they solved it better than we did. So nevertheless, I think we have in Germany the situation that our social budget is too high. We have too much taxation on companies. And I think it takes some time to make a real turnaround. Now Friedrich Merz and the new government is round about 100 days into power, and in 100 days you can't change a complete economic of more than 80 million inhabitants within this short period. Nevertheless, this government always had changed more than 100 laws, and now these laws must fulfill their expectations, and this will take a little bit time as well. So I'm optimistic, and I think we will have at the end of this year of 2025 a better situation concerning the economic data. So I expect a small economic growth at the end of the year.
Тоа ќе се случи со наметнатите царини од Доналд Трамп. Колку тие ќе влијаат врз германската економија?
Yeah, this was a big surprise for the complete European and especially for the German economy that the American president wanted to make things much more expensive in the US, 30, 40, 50% augmentation of the worth of cars, for example, machines and a lot of products. And you know, the German economy is very exported oriented. Now we had these negotiations, we had the contract between the EU and the US that they have to pay 15% on taxation on our products. This is a lot of money. It's not easy for the German economy, for the German companies to fulfill this augmented prices. But on the other hand, now we have security. And now we know, okay, we have to pay these 15%, and the industry is able to develop its own price system in respect and in regard to this augmentation. And so I expect, although it's an augmentation of the worth of all export goods, we can solve this problem, and we will have furthermore good connections to America, because the American market is one of the most important market for German economy.
Да, меѓутоа голем дел од странските компании кои што работат во Македонија во слободните зони се од автомобилскиот сектор и извезуваат за германскиот пазар. Како овие царини кои што сад ги наметна на Германија ќе влијаат на македонските компании кои што работат во зоните?
Yeah, I think we have in the automotive a very strange and a very difficult situation, because remember 10 years ago everybody was talking about the development of the electronic car and not of the benzene car. Now things are changed, and now we have a new player in the market coming from China who are producing very cheap electronic cars on a good level. And for that reason we lost a lot of the advantages of the German expectation and the German experience in producing cars. For that reason we lost around about 50,000 working places in Germany in the automotive sector. And of course this has also influence to the suppliers here, for example, in Northern Macedonia. And so I don't expect a growth into the Macedonian market. I think it would be already a big progress if we can hold the companies which are producing here in Northern Macedonia on the level they had the years before. In the long run, let's say the next 2 to 3 years, I expect that the German automotive industry is still growing, and then we will also have a growing here in the Macedonian market, but nevertheless it takes time.
Колку војната во Украина, наметнатите царини од Трамп ќе го променат светот, кон што треба да се навикнеме?
Yeah, okay, we have now more than 3 years war between Ukraine and Russia. And this is an incredible and terrible situation. And I think the topic number one must be to stop this war. Of course, this war has a big influence not only to the people and the terrible situation of the population, but also on an economic side, and also to Europe and the US. And on the one hand, it's only America who can really influence Russia to stop that war. I'm not quite sure if Donald Trump really wanted at the beginning of his presidency to stop that war, or if he had in mind to say, Ukraine, this is Europe, this is a European problem. Now, after the meetings of the German and European leaders in Washington together with Trump, I hope and I'm convinced that Donald Trump understood that only a common solution between America and Europe can be the key to convince Putin to finish the war. Finishing the war is the number one aim we must have to come into negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. I can't imagine that they will have any discussions and at the same time we will bombs and terrorism in the Ukraine. So the first aim must be to stop the war, to stop the bombing, to stop the terrorism, and then to have negotiation between Ukraine and Russia. This will take time, and I'm sure that we will have for a long period of years the obligation from the European side to support the Ukraine, whatever the result of these negotiations between the two countries is. And this will also influence America. The Americans can't say this is a European problem. Look at the world. The world is so connected meanwhile that there is no isolation situation in one or in another country. And America is the leader number one in the world. This is the most powerful country we do have. And they must be together with the Europeans in one line to convince the others that war is not a solution. And I hope that Putin will understand that he needs, if he wants to play a role in this world, he can't solve the problems by war. And this is the hope we do have, and this is the way how the European leaders and America and President Trump are trying to solve this problem. Anyway, it will take time. It will not end within 1 second. And probably it will be also a hard cut for the Ukraine. That's what I fear.
Професоре, ви благодарам што бевте гостин во тема на денот.
Thank you very much for giving the chance.